Can you manifest wealth even if you're not particularly financially responsible or you don't follow a budget? Well, the short answer to that question is absolutely yes. And today I have a viewer question on this precise topic that I'm sure lots of people would like to know, which is, how do I manifest money even if I don't want to stay on a budget? Now, before I dive into this viewer question, if you have any questions that you'd like for me to answer in a future YouTube video, you can absolutely go ahead and submit those to me. I do have a link below down in the description where you can send in your manifesting questions to be considered for a possible future YouTube video. But let's go ahead and jump on into this viewer question. Okay, so I've got the question right here. Here is the question. It comes courtesy from a viewer named Marlene. Marlene writes, "Hi, Andrea. For years, we've been instructed to set up household budgets to manage our finances based on money coming in and expenses going out. With the law of attraction that allows us to project any amount of income we desire, in theory, do any of us even need to follow a budget? I've been struggling with this question because I have been following a budget for many years. Could the practice of following a budget actually be impeding the flow of newer, higher income? Or should I forget about a budget entirely and trust the universe to provide everything I need in just the right time? Thank you." All right. Well, thank you, Marlene, for sending in this awesome question. And before I jump into my response, if you're watching this video right now and you have some advice for Marlene on this particular question, please make sure to go ahead and drop your manifesting advice to this question below in the comments. I'd love to make sure that Marlene gets lots of answers to this question. So go ahead and drop down what your thoughts are on this particular topic below. But let's go ahead and jump on in with my answer to this question. So I'm going to start off by talking about, why Marlene's on to something here. Okay, so why the budget isn't necessary. And then we'll get into what you can do if you yourself would like to drop the idea of having to be financially responsible or following a budget and still being able to manifest more money. So again, Marlene here is really on to something, which is that yes, budgets actually do restrict the flow of money. I know some people aren't going to like that, but it is true. Budgets do restrict the flow of money. Not if you use them once in a while, okay? It's not going to be that big of a deal. But if you are a personality who has been restricting how you spend money through the use of budgets repeatedly, all the time, then yes, it is going to impede the flow of money to you. Now, the reason why this is that budgets really focus in on the idea of there only being so much money and that there are limits and that it's a bad thing if we spend above a certain limit. Okay, so if we spend quote unquote too much money, we're not going to have any money left. Okay, and so budgets really focus on, unfortunately, shortage consciousness. Okay, so in other words, there's a pie, okay, a pie of how much money we have. And if we take a bigger slice of pie than we have allocated for any particular purchase, that means we only have so much pie left. Now, that's a really limiting idea because money is actually infinite and money is actually fluid. So just because, let's say you have $100 in the bank today, if you spend 20, it doesn't mean that you're only going to have 80 tomorrow. A lot of times what will happen with the law of attraction is that when you are open to the flow of money, how much you spend really doesn't matter. And in fact, sometimes spending a lot can actually cause you to attract a lot more money. Now, this one can be challenging for lots of people because, like Marlene mentions in this question, many of us have been taught to do this. Okay, we've been taught to budget. And I myself, I was taught to budget. I've talked about this before on my channel. I come from a very frugal, coupon cutting kind of place, okay? I come from a family that taught me not to spend a dime past what I needed. And so for me, I have shifted this for myself. Just recently, I decided to hire my friend again, who's an interior designer, to come redecorate my office. And she hasn't come yet, but her scheduler called to put me on the books. And when we were talking, she was asking me lots of questions about what I wanted to do with the space and all of that. And towards the end of the conversation, she asked, okay, so what is your budget looking like for the office? And the question threw me off. I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought of a budget. Now, that is in stark opposition to how I used to think. I would have had a budget and I would have been very guarded about my budget. I would know exactly how much money I wanted to spend, not a penny more. But when I was asked that question by my friend's scheduler, I was confused because that's how little I consider budgets anymore. I don't consider budgets. And funny enough, today, I make a lot more money. I mean, a lot more money than I did back when I used to follow budgets. And so for me personally, I know that this does work, that you can get out of the mindset of budgets and being financially responsible. And it can actually help you attract a lot more money. So I want to talk with you about how do you change that mindset. If you're very budget conscious, or if you consider yourself to have to be very financially responsible, if you would like to shed that restriction and be able to attract more money and be free with how you spend it, I've got some great advice that I want to share with you. But first, if you like law of attraction videos that teach you how to manifest the life of your dreams, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And of course, go ahead and turn on the little handy notification bell. I put out content like this every single week, and I know you're going to enjoy it. Also, as a quick aside, I know we're coming up on the new year, and so just a reminder to you, if you've been watching my content, I do have a free PDF that a lot of people do like this time of year. It's all about manifesting the body of your dreams. So if you are interested in manifesting really great physical condition for 2024, please make sure to go ahead and grab that PDF below. Again, that one is absolutely free. It's got lots of great law of attraction suggestions to get you into the physical condition that you want to be in. All right, but let's go ahead and talk about how do you develop this mindset of not needing a budget? How do you, pry yourself away from all those years of conditioning that it's bad if you don't follow the budget? Because yes, chronic budget following does limit the flow of money. So one of the first things that I do recommend is that when you're making purchases, you want to change your criteria about what's most important. Okay, so for many people who are budget conscious, the thing that's most important is the price. Okay, they will purchase based on price. Price is what decides the final decision for them. And so a very helpful thing to do is that when you go into buying things, I want you to think about getting what you want. Okay, so what you want is the highest level of criteria with a purchase. Price comes much further down. Okay, what you want comes up first. Now, on the surface, it may seem, if you're very budget conscious, that could get you out of control real quick. Okay, so just to help subside some of those fears, I want to share with you something I've noticed about shifting to that perspective. Now that I buy the things that I want, rather than the things that are less expensive, I've actually found in many cases I end up in the long term spending less money. So let me give you an example, okay? If you've been watching my content for a long time, you know I like to go to the gym. So one thing that I buy regularly are leggings. And so when I was very budget conscious, I used to buy the cheap leggings, the $20, $30 leggings that you can get on Amazon or whatever, Target, whatever. Not name brand, not fancy, but just leggings. Okay. And when I learned this trick about getting what I wanted, I started to purchase the more expensive types of leggings. And so now I get like the Lululemon. All right. So those are like real pricey, right? Well, funny enough, I spend probably about 5 times as much money on my leggings now. However, those leggings last like 10 times as long. They're a much higher quality. I like them a lot more, so they get a lot more use. Whereas in the past, when I bought like the $20 or $30 leggings, I didn't like them so much. They fell apart really easily. They didn't fit me really well, so I'd end up getting rid of them and buying more of them. And so actually over time, I ended up spending less money getting the more expensive ones. And so that's a little something I want to put out there for you, is that you may think that if you put buying the thing that you want most ahead of price, that it's going to mean that you're spending more money or it's going to kind of screw you over. But you're going to find that actually getting what you want many times actually puts you at a lower price point overall. So when you're making purchases, again, that needs to be the top criteria. Okay. Now it may be hard for you to put really big purchases in that frame of mind if you're really used to budgeting. So I always recommend to start small. So you don't have to start with buying the car. You could start with, buying groceries or buying socks, buying hairbrushes, something that's already kind of a low price point. When you go to buy those things, ask yourself, which one do I actually want? And if it's $2, $5 more than the cheaper one, just get it. And you're going to start to notice this dynamic that I'm talking about, which is that getting what you want actually ends up saving you money in the long run. And it also helps you to start attracting more money, because what you're saying to the universe every time you purchase something that you want is, I can afford what I want. I can afford what I want. And the messaging that we send out to the universe is very important. Again, when we're following a budget, what we're really saying is, I can't afford what I want. I can't afford what I want. And the universe is going to mirror back to you your belief structures. And so this is one of the reasons why budgets are so dangerous to attracting money, is that if you're constantly going around saying, I can't afford this, I can't afford this, I need a budget, I can't get what I really want, well, the universe is going to restrict the flow of money to you to ensure you can't get what you want. But if you start to get the things that you really do want, every time you buy that hairbrush or the book you really want, or the kind of bread at the store that you really want, what you're saying is, I can get what I want. I can afford what I want. And the universe will start to deliver to you more money to reinforce that idea that you're putting out there through your new behavior. Another thing that can really help pull apart this idea of needing a budget is also something that you can do when you're spending. Whenever you spend money, I want you to practice an idea. And the idea is, when I let go of money, I'm open to receiving more of it. The easier I can let it go, the easier it's going to come back. Now, this is very, very true, and it's true across all different kinds of things that we want to manifest, and you've probably seen this before. When you let go of things, you treat them as if they're not that big of a deal, and they come back to you really, really easily. So a great example of this is like when you're dating. Okay. So if you think about, maybe a girl is in a relationship and she's really clingy and she can't let him go and he doesn't want to stay and he leaves. But if a girl is dating and the guy that she's dating, she's kind of loose with and lets him come and go as he wants and isn't that too obsessive over it, lets him go, he comes back. Okay. Well, the same is true with money. The easier you spend it, the easier I let it go, the easier it comes back. This is something I want you to practice saying again every time you spend. Really great thing to remind yourself, because especially when you start ramping up your purchases, so maybe you start with the hairbrushes and the socks, but eventually you want to be buying things that you want. When we're talking about cars and homes and vacations and like higher ticket items, well, writing a check for $50,000, we don't want you to be stressed about that. We want you to write that check and say, the easier I let this go, the easier it comes back. And it's a really awesome thing that I've seen, which is that having that attitude, when I make large purchases, large chunks of money come back to me in the weirdest ways. I mean, sometimes through work, sometimes through my husband's work, sometimes there's random checks that show up, sometimes there's huge rebates that come in. All kinds of stuff can happen when you are easy with letting go of money. Now, the next thing I want to mention here about, breaking free of a budget and the mindset that's going to help you do that has to do with karma. And the base idea is you get what you pay for. And so this is something that you've probably heard people say before. You get what you pay for. I.e., if I spend a lot of money, I'm probably going to get something that's of a higher value. But this is an idea that we want to take even down to a more basic level, which is I want you to think about when you're buying things from people or from businesses that you want to have good karma. Okay. So for instance, I've got a housekeeper and she costs more than any other housekeeper I've ever had. But she's really, really good. I mean, really good. Much better than anyone that I've had. And, so when we talked about hiring her and talking about, negotiating price, I could have tried to negotiate the price down. I could have tried to get her within budget. But in situations like this, I like to think about karma. Okay. Here's a person who's coming to provide a service or who is making something for me to buy or is providing something that I want. It is good karma for them to be well compensated. I want them to be well compensated for the work that they do. It's good karma for me to honor what they have done. Okay. And so this is something that can be very helpful when you find yourself tensing up on price, is to remind yourself, oh yeah, it costs a lot of money to run a business, or this person puts in a lot of hours. I want them to be well compensated for what it is that they're providing to me. Okay. And so this kind of gets our head out of how much does it cost, and it gets us more into, I'm putting out good karma. If I buy a high quality product, and instead of tensing up about it, I remind myself it's good karma just to pay a fair price for it. Now I feel good about making that purchase. And if I feel good about making that purchase, and if I feel like I'm having good karma coming back to me, again, that's the message that I'm putting out into the universe. And as a result, I can spend way outside of somebody else's budget and line myself up with even more money. Now, this may call into question, Andrea, how is money going to come to me other than my job? Okay. Because a lot of times people only see that money comes through a job. Well, money doesn't have to just come through a job. In fact, I manifest lots of money without working for it. And so I have another video on how I manifest money without working for it. And if you'd like to watch that video next so that you can manifest money without working for it, I'm going to go ahead and put a link for it right over here so you can watch that one next. But thanks so much for watching today's video on how to become wealthy, even if you don't follow a budget, and getting rid of that budget. And this video, of course, comes courtesy of our viewer, Marlene. Thank you so much, Marlene. But I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And of course, I look forward to bringing you another one soon. Bye-bye.